All right, I'm here with my fuzz ambient patch. It's one of my favorite patches. It's an old patch that's basically been a nice workflow for me for many years. And then I've done other patches that are kind of loosely based on this. Typically, what I always do is let's go over the expression first for me. Typically, I will always have expression 2 in every patch I make be a volume or a drive, more volume or more drive. So in this particular patch, I have expression pedal 2 is going to the drive on the amp right here. So if you'll watch, it's at 7.5, which is pretty high up there. And then when I pull back, it goes way down to like 3. And I do that to accommodate different guitars. And I also do that because I want to emulate basically what I saw Jimmy Herring do 30 years ago. He was panning between a clean amp and a dirty amp. And the dirty amp always had a tube screamer on already. So he was just ready to solo, and then he could pull it back. And I could build that in the Helix as well, but, just for simplicity's sake, I really like to keep things as simple as possible because, to be honest with you, you can just get lost in all of this stuff and just be turning knobs and tweaking for hours. And I just want to play. And the cool thing about Helix and all the digital ideas, the modelers and everything, is you can get sounds really fast. You can get sounds really fast as quick as you can. So I really dig it for that. And if I wanted to put this right in front of a tube amp, I have a patch where I can do that and just use this thing as a stomp board. So it's super versatile. This thing's turning 8 years old this year, and I love it. But the ideas still go to the analog realm. So you could use this as just a volume pedal to starve a dirty amp, Okay, and then expression 1, if I toe click, typically I'll turn on a different effect. I don't have anything here at this time, but a lot of times I will turn on a octave up or a whammy pedal. I typically don't do wah. I went through a wah phase, and Kirk Hammett took up all the wah for the rest of us. I don't think he left us any more wah. So I tend to I tend to shy away from wah now because of Kirk. Kirk's done some cool stuff, but yeah, I started finding myself gravitating towards the wah. And honestly, what I was gravitating towards was the mid boost that the wah provided, and to get feedback. And I have different ways to do that now, so I don't rely on the wah per se to do that. It was a crutch for me. I had to go through a program to get rid of it. Okay, so and then this is expression pedal. Now this gets tied into a bunch of different things on this board here: delays, reverbs, and you can even tie it in. You can tie it in anything you want to. But the idea again can work with the analog realm. So for this, I always have one reverb that's on. And then this is just the more reverb switch. Okay, so check it out. That's a spring reverb. Now I'm going to start adding more, 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 a little bit more. So I have that tied to the decay. So basically it sets you back in a cave. And then I can clean it up. So then you can do huge pads, and you can turn this up, and then you can swell into it. Okay. Let's stay with some time-based effects. I'll probably chop this video up into sections. Let's see what happens with the delays now. So I'm going to pull it back, the room reverb. Okay, so now I've named it eighth note, and this is the mod chorus. And I have this one set for the eighth notes. That's the cool thing about this. You can name it anything you want to. And this is set up without dots. So this is not the way to do the U2 thing. If I just turned a button, it would be dotted eighths. Now, the cool thing is the faster you tap, you can get a bunch of different delay settings out of one delay. That's like a slapback. Then you can tap it super slow. Now I'm at 41 beats a minute. Super slow. Now I can add in the reverb. Now it's a rhythmic delay. And then you can start to pan in. When you do that, you can't really hear the attack, so it's really ambient. It's like a wash. And you can tap anything in between. So now it can be more like a rhythm thing. Again with more verb. All right, same idea for a quarter note. This is a simple delay. So now this is just, if you can count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the time on this. And I pretty much set my mixes for around 30%. With this particular one, I've got the feedback. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I like trails on. I'm going to fix that. The mix on this particular one is 20%. And then I always set up my expression 3 to be a more switch. So more wet of something. So this way, I already know across all my platforms I set it up. If I've got some time-based something, a reverb or delay, it's going to be more on this external expression for me. That way, it just helps me keep it straight, because I would get lost trying to sing and play and switch and swap guitars and tunings and yeah. So I like simple stuff. And that's a much longer feedback. That's like 40. You can start treating this as a long delay, like a long looper. And I'll do another video about some looping tricks where I do just that. I basically just turn the looper on and let it just loop constantly and let it keep recording. And then I just turn it into a long delay and manipulate it. But that's for another video. All right, so here's quarter. All right. And again, if you tap it faster, it's faster quarter notes. So you can find how to tap in the dots if you're clever with it. I'm not finding it today, but you can do it. Getting closer. But if you add them both together, you get a quarter and an eighth. That's a really hip thing to do. And another cool trick to do is to constantly keep tapping while you're playing, and you're not going to tap perfectly in time, so it's going to throw it off and make it glitch, and that can be really cool. So I'll show you how to throw it off in a glitch just on the quarter delay for starters. And then you can double tap it quick at the end of a phrase and just create chaos. And then go slower. And then you can just do it back to normal in tempo, but it'll make it kind of boomerang a little bit. Now add some verb in with that. Check this out. I couldn't resist. Screw up something pretty. Okay, and now let's talk about time-based reverb and how you can use them in the wrong way but make something cool. So I also, I've got this spring. Now it's more spring. I also have two other reverbs. I have another reverb called Searchlights. It's kind of like one of those Strymon Blue Sky pedals. I forget which algorithm this Searchlights mimics, but it does mimic something very similar. Now, I also have the Searchlights on this more wet switch. So this is the Searchlights and the room reverb with minimal effect. Now I've go more wet with the Searchlights and the room reverb. So that's just an extra little kick if I want to just do a quick reverb. So this is my room reverb, just basic patch stuff. Then if I want to just kick that up just for a second, and then I can turn it right back off. It'll kill it. But if I really want it huge, it's a neat little trick, stacking 2 reverbs or 2 delays. Now, here's where I did something a little unorthodox. I'm not the first to do it by any stretch. I listen to all kinds of really great groups and guitar players and even different instruments and synth and keyboard stuff. So I get inspired to chase after those sounds. So I've named this verb B4 fuzz. So this actual verb, I'll touch it where you can see where it is in the chain. It's the very first thing in my chain, way up there in the top left. That's how the helix goes. It goes top left, and then it snakes down like an S shape for the signal path. So that is the very first thing in my chain. So it's set pretty wet too. And I also have it on the expression. It's huge. Now here's how this, what happens is your sound gets exploded by the reverb, and then you step on a dirt pedal that comes downstream from this reverb, and it sounds just crazy. So like here's a Timmy overdrive kind of thing. And I have my expression pedal still up, so you're getting the room reverb, right? But I can blow it up. And it also does the same thing with fuzz. It's just ridiculous. Now you add delay with that, and it's just absolutely insane. I did not forget about the other delay here, this other green button. This is the Roland Space Echo model. So any sort of multi-head tape delay thing will work. I think I have this one set up. I'll dive in and check. Halftime, 20% feedback up to 40% feedback, and the mix at 35%. And I have trails on. Now I like this echo because I've got it set to half speed, half quarter notes. So half notes, yeah. So then now I've got quarters, eighths, and halves. So this is a super slow delay. And you hear the flutter. So I could do this super slow. Now, if I tapped it faster, you get like a Britpop. Now you add in this crazy fuzz, reverb before fuzz, and then a fuzz. trick, the more stuff you put on your plate, the simpler the parts have to be. Otherwise, it just really, it's too much information to process. So if you notice that my part got really simpler, my part went from this and then went to this. So you got to think about how much stuff is, how much information you're trying to send out and how much of it's being manipulated with effects. So it's just like trying to play a 12-string guitar, like a Rickenbacker, for instance. You're not going to be able to play every chord on a Rickenbacker you would on a 6-string guitar. You're going to have to omit or revoice certain things because it just does not want to jive with traditional voicings. Same thing goes for effects. And it's cool to experiment because you'll be able to take chances and find different things that'll work for you. If you didn't have those particular sounds you were chasing, it'll make you play different. It's just like having different guitars set up differently. They make you play different. So this is the part about the time-based effects and the expression pedals. And I'm going to go into... I think probably the best thing would be going into some dirt ideas for stacking, and then another video about using a looper for a long delay and a practice tool, and how you can stack reverbs and delays in front and behind the looper. So that'll be coming up soon. Thanks for hanging out. There's going to be more. Thanks.